There we go. Hey, everybody. This is Dolly and Anita, and we'll be back in the next 10 seconds. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today at the DNA Authority. I'm Dolly Cortes.
And I'm Anita Myers. It is Wonder Woman Wednesday. It is a great day. It's Wednesday before Christmas Eve. I have to I don't even know my days, but I know that there's Christmas Eve before Christmas, and today's Wednesday. Is Christmas on Friday?
Christmas Day's on Friday.
Yeah. So it's really a great day. And, today we have so much to talk about, but we apologize for the delay. These things happen. And, what we want to talk about today is the power of giving. And, when you think about it, there's lots to share. So, I look forward to what our show is going to share. So
let's do that.
All right. What?
Are we going to continue to have technical difficulties today? This is just... I love the music.
I took my festive hat off because I was done with that. I just want to get to serious talk. So what happened?
I don't know. I clicked it a couple times, and our video wasn't coming up, and it's been one of those days. I think there's Mercury retrograde or something happening again.
Can someone please seriously?
I have no idea what's happening in our beautiful universe.
I want it to be festive, and there's nothing wrong in being festive, but it's just something's a little off with some of those things. So here's what we're going to do.
You took it off too soon. I just say
sometimes it's a good thing.
Yes, it is.
We will just leave it at that. So, Dolly.
Yes.
You want to show off your first gift from Anita Myers?
Well, I have a couple different things here. I
don't know if you could show the other one, but
this is 3 gifts here from my beautiful Anita Myers. Powers. And this is one which has been entertaining me.
Oh yeah, that's so great.
So this is like the egg. Well, I guess it doesn't work so well on my. Let me see if this is it. Oh, look at this. Can you see it there, swirling a little?
It looks like a big shiny wart on your hand right now, but I'm sure it'll look better.
So this one has just been. Yeah, I've been here. So when when things don't work, that's what I'm playing with. And then my beautiful Anita Myers Powers. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
What? Oh, my lipstick. Sorry.
So beautiful.
Thing. That's gross.
This was so beautiful. Thank you so much.
I figured a talk show needs to have a talk show mug. So now we have something to kind of sit and talk like it's like a morning show, but we're just doing it in the afternoon. Oh yeah, and then. Anita spoiled me. She's so good. Look, she got me one of these beautiful professional mics. How does it sound? You sound great. Now we have to find out what they think. But listen, Jesus got 3 gifts.
Okay.
That's just the way I looked at it. You're very special to me. And I wanted to see, number one, you always talk about, you got to let your voice be heard, right? Man. So that was right off the charts. I knew that you didn't have a mic, and I thought, this is
I didn't have the mic.
You didn't have the mic. And so we got that. And then I think about the fact that, when you write, sometimes your brain goes, not yours, but one's brain kind of goes into this like drifting place, or you've got a lot of frustrations and whatever. And that little sweet rose gold, it was made in rose gold, this little doohickey thing. It's a nice distraction to get your brain to calm and get to like a place of rest so that it can actually open up your creative thinking and allow you to let the words in. And it just kind of was a fun thing to have.
Yes.
So there's that. And of course, the mug, I just got to get you a mug. I'm a mug girl. I love mugs.
I absolutely love the mug. How about you? You're going to show what you got? Are you able to?
I can't because I didn't bring it with me, but I will show it later. But one of them I cannot show until it's time to show. Does that make sense?
Well, yes. Well,
we're talking in secrecy here because I haven't told anybody.
Anybody other than that's what I called you.
Right. And I don't know if anyone would understand that, but I promise you this. When I can get it to listen, she did something very wonderful. It's really hilarious. And I guess this is going to sound terrible and dumb and wrong and whatever, but just, elevate to a happy place with the story. Okay. And then you'll see it later on.
Yeah.
And then we'll like post the link that talks about it here.
Well, gifting that to you, both pieces, it really meant a lot to me. And I knew it would really mean a lot to you. And I just loved your overall reaction. I thought it was fantastic. I just loved it. So
I can at least show one. Hold on. The other one. I just didn't have it ready. Hold on. Here we are. So this is the one she made for me. This beautiful frame from my book.
Look at that.
I put this in my wall, and it meant everything to me. And I love it so much when I opened it up. I mean, to see my book cover framed was really wonderful. So thank you.
I love doing that for you. You're very, very welcome. And there's a second piece to that, which you cannot show yet. But I'm just happy that you loved it because it really came from my heart. So happy holidays, darling.
Thank you very much. The other one you're going to find out later on in life when we are ready to disclose it. But it was a very touching gift, and it was really funny because we had the same thinking about who we are and how we think, and it was just really funny. So with that, this is the episode about giving, the power of giving. I did get quite a bit of information that was pretty interesting. But before we go into that, we did have a guest that was scheduled today, a beautiful, amazing woman who is definitely a giver, and we will bring her back on. We just had some technical difficulties in getting her on, but we are rescheduling it because we've got all of 2021 to talk about giving, and her giving is a very different, like you may have seen the promotion on it, Dr. Marianne Matzo, and we love to have her on. I have a lot of respect.
I'm very curious about that. I was actually going over her website, so I thought it was very interesting, and I'm like, talk about a different takeaway with dealing with what she deals with on a regular basis, right? And the podcasts and the blogs, and she interviewed you at one point, so that was pretty neat. But I am sorry that we were not able to get her on the show today, but we will schedule her, and it'll be one of our 2021 amazing guests.
That's right. So let's just talk about the concept.
Raise your head a little bit because you're a little dark in there, and I don't see you beautiful.
I know, like it's almost like my bill is like a mask for my eyes. How cool is that?
That's what I'm saying. Raise it up a bit. It's too dark.
You want to see my eyes?
You always see. You gotta talk to them.
I feel goofy when I do that.
No, but see, now people can see you. Now people can see you.
Well, so let's talk about the concept of the power of giving. Even though we have topics to talk about with our guest that was supposed to be here, we can still talk about it because there is so much power in giving. And I think that here we are on the cusp of the holidays. It's really important across the nation. We talk about Christmas, and sometimes we hear conversation about commercialism. We hear conversation about gift giving. It should only, I just told you Jesus was given 3 gifts. There's so many different things to talk about when it comes to the power of giving. Right. Whenever you ask somebody, I even tried to ask this earlier, what is a way of giving? Like, when you think about the act of the gift of giving, what are some examples? And some people think it's a product or a service, and those things are obviously wonderful. They're nice things to have. But there are other areas of the spectrum of giving that we don't always look at, right?
No, absolutely. And, I'm sure that you've seen this multiple times. What do you prefer, to give or to receive? And to me, I love to give. Like, I was so excited to put those things together for you, and just wrapping them. And I mean, I remember, like, I put them together, and then I looked at them, and I'm like, like, so beautiful. And I was excited. And then I took pictures of them, and then I sent them to my sister. Look. And then and I was just so excited, to prepare to give to you. And to me, I just love it. I believe that, I believe as a whole, it just makes you a better person. It fulfills me. It fulfills me to give to others, any little way that I can. Another example, I try to help at least one family every year. One family, in very subtle way, but I try to do a little extra something for a family. So I had a girlfriend. She really recently reached out and said, "Can you please pick up a couple toys at this location close to your house, because they're donating them to a family that's homeless?" And I said, "Oh, tell me a little bit about this family that's homeless." So she did. And so I went on a shopping spree for this family with my sister. And then, I did pick up the toys, and then I went on a shopping spree so that the mom and the two sons were able to have a little extra, a little something to know that they're not alone, and that someone does care during the holidays. And for me, it meant the world to me to be able to do those little things. I don't have a lot, but whatever I do have, I'll share.
Right. That's beautiful. And, with the type of Christmas that we have this year, it is a significant Christmas because it is resting in a year that had a lot of loss for lots of people of all kinds. It's not only where people have lost people they love due to a virus that had taken place. There's also loss of business. There's also loss of I want to keep it in a good spirit, but there is a lot of loss that's happened where it has affected so many people on a very deep level. So how can we give back in this time that could help them? Sometimes it's not going to be about the typical present that you imagine getting. I don't know what you felt like when you went shopping this time. Some of you wearing a mask, just going through the whole shopping experience. Did you feel the sense of Christmas spirit? Did you still try to find a way to, keep that Christmas spirit going? What are some of the different avenues? Like, just think right now, there's many different, when you go traveling on a car and you're going to go on a vacation anywhere, and there's a detour, there's a boulder, there's a road obstruction, there's things, we all try to find a way to make it work to get around that, to finally go to our vacation. If we're going to travel, whether it's to Wisconsin, we're in Chicagoland, go to Wisconsin or go to Florida or go all the way to the West Coast. But whenever you have these little hiccups on the road, what is it that we do? Do we go all the way back home, or do we say, I don't think so. We are going to find a way to get around this and get there. And I think that that's where we're at now, where, there are people that are used to certain habits, certain traditions, and they may be removed just temporarily, or maybe even permanently, they may be removed. So how do we find that spirit of giving? And maybe if you're someone who is a giver, like Dolly is, I never told you if I was a giver or a receiver. I would say yes. Yes to both.
I think you're definitely, I think no, you're both. You love to receive beautiful things, but you are just so excited to give. You do. I mean, come on. You showed up yesterday at my doorstep. Nobody welcomed you.
No. It was like I saw a tumbleweed, and then I just dropped off the gift and left. But that didn't matter to me. I didn't.
No, but you know why? I'll tell you why. Okay, viewers and listeners, this is what happened. So Anita, my son's birthday is today, and Anita, you reached out to him about coming by and dropping off a little gift for him.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you briefly mentioned it to me, but I was in the middle of my chaos, when you mentioned it to me. So I let you speak to him. Well, what happens? I totally forgot about that conversation. And I went to Hector, my husband. I went to him and I said, "Hey, I'm in the mood for pizza."
I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
I'm in the mood for pizza. I said, "You want to go for pizza?" He goes, "Okay." So we got in our car and we left for pizza. Didn't remember that you were coming at all. So I apologize for not being here to welcome you to my home. But I enjoyed the pizza.
Glad you did. I'm glad you did. So the good part of my drive all the way to your house and not being received by you is the fact that I got to be with my daughter and we had a blast. We just had a blast. We don't get to be in the car as often as we used to, and our whole time together. Her being an only child, I'm an only child, so we kind of relate with each other very well. But growing up, and even me growing up as a person, as a mom, as a parent, my time in my car with my daughter is everything. I know people used to say to me, give the suggestion of, you're in America, put her on the school bus and let her have the American way. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You can do that. My American way, because we're a melting pot, we can do whatever we want and have that freedom. I'd like to have her in the car with me because it's drive worthy and I have the available time. Why wouldn't I? And that's my decision. And in my time with her, I might end up making a book about that too, Dolly, where it's, conversations in the car with my daughter. That's what we had, a lot of them, even when she was a little boo-boo baby. So now with quarantine, she's homeschooling. So I'm teaching her what I can, giving her the direction of where she needs to go. And then I'm also working, and then I've got my show, and then I've got to be a wife and all these wonderful things. So me being in a car anywhere with her has really minimized. So when I asked her, "Hey, you want to come with me for a ride? I'm going to go over and drop off this gift." She's like, "Yeah, sure." Listening to music, during, when we were done, we were in front of your house for a while because we were just playing with the applications and just being silly. No, don't be. My point is,
when Danny told me, he goes, "Oh yeah, Anita stopped by." He goes, "Didn't you see her? She had a Christmas hat on." And I'm like, "See her? I wasn't even home."
Listen. The focus is this. Yeah. I did what I was supposed to do, and I got to really enjoy my drive there and back, and that's all that matters. I wasn't expecting anyone to be there to give me some big, reading, but thank you for saying that. But it really wasn't an expectation. I just laughed about it, set it down, and left. But it was my time with my kiddo that was really, it was great.
You're like, so rude.
No,
I'm kidding.
No, so when I was talking about the concept of giving and receiving, you're talking about receiving as well as giving. I want us to start thinking about this. We only have a couple days before the holiday where people celebrate Christmas. Even if it's just celebrating the holidays, I know we had Hanukkah and there's Kwanzaa, there's all of these, and just because. Even if it's none of that, like I just watched Madagascar, this little excerpt that talks about Merry Julianuary. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. These are like, even Alice in Wonderland, when they talk about, it's a merry unbirthday, just creating a reason to celebrate that you have a life, the reason to celebrate you have friendships in your life, or to say thank you to someone who has served you in some way. Yes. Use this time, that even though I know we assign our efforts according to a holiday, a name, a label on a day. I always say Christmas is every day. So I tend to really enjoy my life every single day because it is, hey, I'm alive. Thank goodness. This is great. This is a gift. So when we think about giving this time, there's a lot of power in it. It's not only about being able to give the thing that individual you're giving to may have needed. Sometimes, and I want to ask you this, Dolly, and anyone here who's watching, I'd like to kind of discuss this thought to you. And this is not a venting thing, but just something to think about. How do you feel about getting I have to say this the right way. Let me say it this way with the do you get gifts for people that they need that gift, or do you get them a gift that, you just think that they might like it, but you don't know if they need it.
No, see, so personally, I try to be very observant, of people.
Yeah.
So I always look at, well, this person likes this person likes that. And yeah, I don't do things more. I do it mainly because I just feel like, you know what, I noticed that person just really enjoys candles, loves the scents, loves this. I'm gonna get him a candle because I know that that's something that you like. With you, it's so easy, it's ridiculous.
That's good. That's good because, the thing I've noticed in my life, whether it's friends or I hear from friends who share their little frustrations, you always want to be grateful when someone gives you a gift. That's really nice of them. They never had to.
Right.
But sometimes I hear about, I'll give an example, where, someone, let's just say a relationship between a boyfriend and a girlfriend right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, let's say, that they're in their 30s or 40s. And the boyfriend heard the girlfriend kind of frustrate over the stove that this one pan is like, not, I got to get a new one or whatever. And in his mind, he wants to serve her and give her something that she kind of said that she needed. So Christmas time comes and he gets her a pan. What happened to your face?
You got a good time. It's like come on. It's like giving me a new vacuum because I need a new vacuum. I'm like,
this is a touchy situation because there are women that will actually be grateful because they need it. And there are going to be women that are like, are you kidding me? You got me a pan? That's not what I wanted. So, it gets really touchy for some people in terms of what do I get? So it's really important to hold some level of communication so that you can understand that, there are needs, that there are wants and there are needs. And sometimes when we're trying to satisfy the need, like, no big deal if I gave my husband like the new, like, whatever you call like a toolbox that's like so super cool. He might be like, dude, that's awesome. Thanks, woman. I love you. Right. That's great. But that doesn't always work on the other side when it comes to men giving women these little appliances and such. So you really have to hold communication to see, so that your power of giving is a good one. And you get the outcome.
Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you a story of when in my first marriage.
Oh boy! This is the part that I pour the Baileys in my coffee here.
Where's my Baileys? No, this is their first year.
All right.
First year. That was he really wanted a crock pot. He wanted a crock pot. He enjoyed cooking. He wanted a crock pot. So he wanted a crock pot so bad that he told everyone and anyone that would listen how badly he wanted a crock pot. Well, that year he ended up getting like 6 or 7 crock pots because he was telling the world he wanted a crock pot. Well, guess what? I bought him a crock pot. In addition to other gifts. That didn't go well. It didn't go well because I was the wife. And that was so cold. That was so cruel. How could I do that? Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, no, I said no. I'll never do that again.
I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. Oh my God, that was a double. That was a twofer.
God bless you. No, but the funny part is, so I don't know if anyone is listening to viewing us right now. If you have a giving experience that didn't go so well, please share it with us. Let's talk about it. Yeah, but that particular incident, it became such a big deal that he mentioned it to other people, and then he mentioned it to the same people that he had told them about wanting a crock pot. He had to return crock pots because he got so many.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, when it comes down to it, when we love people, whether it's friend or spouse or children, there's a certain point when you're a parent and you've got a young child, you're making the decision based on what you see and what you learn, what you hear. But it's really important that we hold conversations with those we can, finding out, more about what they're looking for, because I know this in my relationship with my husband, his way of sharing, I love you, the concept of I love you, it's so beautiful. Like he'll he gave me a set of pans and pots. He did, and he, because I needed to get new ones, and he did that. But he also gave me some other things. But what he was giving was his definition of, I want to care for you. I want you to have what you need.
Yeah.
And, all the while I had, I was saying things like, gosh, I could really use a massage. I could really, that place, that one massage place, and I gave these examples and he never really picked up on it. There were times where
I need to know, what was your reaction when you opened the pots?
Oh gosh, wait a minute. And then, because he loved me, because I'm
Brian, sorry, man.
No. And this is not something he doesn't know. We joke about all the time, but like when we were first married, he was just so happy to be married, and he realized he was married to, I'm of Indian descent, even though I'm like 1,000% American in the way that you know me.
Yeah.
So he kept buying things like a magnet that said like India, and like a map that said like India, and a shirt that's like, I love Indians. It's like some kind of thing. And I remembered kind of going, this is not what I need, but I so appreciate him loving me. But like, how do I get him to, I so appreciated the effort, but he was trying to say, I'm for Indian people. I'm for India. And it's like, you don't have to be for that. I mean, that's great. But his definition of I love you was different than what I'd like to receive. So we worked on it. But yeah, the look on my face, if you're looking at that, it was one of those, it's like, ripping up the thing, like, and opening it up and seeing this shirt that says like something India. And I kind of just did one of those. The shirt's really nice, sweetie. I appreciate the shirt. But when you have that energy that kind of says, this isn't like the thing. I talked with him. I said, I got an idea. Can we come up, because there's many attempts at trying to help him see what would work for me in terms, I was always grateful for anything I received, always.
Yes.
But I would really love to get a little coupon to a massage with this one place. Like, I would really like that. So instead of me playing these little mental games, hoping that he'd catch it and realizing he wasn't, like, it was 3 years of this, I finally said, that's it. I'm communicating that we're going to make this a default gift. So we created the default gift. You can buy me anything you want as long as I get the one coupon to this one massage place, and I will be the happiest wife ever. And you know what? Till this day, I still get the default gift, and I love all my gifts. I don't care if he bought me paper, I would say this is the best paper in the world because I have my default gift. And that's that. But he's been amazing ever since with understanding, the needs of one another. And I love to give him big gifts because that's just me.
Yeah.
To do fun things and be crazy. So, but here's the thing. I would love to share this with you.
Please do.
Some notes that I picked up on the site of livescience.com. I grabbed some notes I thought was really nice. So first of all, when we talk about the gift of giving, I think these are my husband's readers. This is like funny. Sorry. I want to give you some quotes to think about. This is from St. Francis of Assisi. For it is in giving that we receive. Leo Tolstoy says, the sole meaning of life is to serve humanity. Winston Churchill says, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. And there's a Chinese proverb that says, if you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help somebody. And what I got out of the article that follows was really pretty interesting, because there's this concept that humans are hardwired to be selfish. That is the concept that's been out there for a long time in the psychology world and the science world. And there was finally some studies that were done, research that was done at the University of California, Berkeley. There's a researcher. Let me make sure I get the name right here. George Moll and Jordan Grafman, they're neuroscientists. In 2006, they were able to realize something new, that brains are hardwired to serve. And what was so cool about this was Charles Darwin, we all know who he is. He wrote The Descent of Man, and he actually talks in there about benevolence 99 times in that writing that he had. 99 times talks about benevolence. And he concluded that love, sympathy, and cooperation also exist in the natural world, and he gives an example of the natural world where, something like a pelican provides fish for a blind pelican in its flock. Like, we don't really look at what nature really does, but that's one example that was shared about how animals help one another when they're in need. And as human beings, our species, they did a research in 2006. A book came out called The Giving Way to Happiness in 2015. And it shares that if we give, and when we give, an area of the brain towards the forehead, known as the anterior prefrontal cortex, that actually lights up. And that's the same area that lights up when you are giving in terms of providing food and even having sex. So this is the area that actually lights up when someone gives to someone else. And the study and what the researchers found, what they did was when volunteers placed the interests of others before their own, the generosity activated that primitive part of the brain. And it really came down to the understanding that giving, it's not about being selfish, that giving is actually so much more powerful for us. And I think, when I read that information, I copied it down. I didn't want to share it with you. I don't know if you feel that way. I don't know if you recognize that this is what happens, but I know this. I know how you felt when you handed me my gifts. And, it wasn't like you bought me a house or a car or anything, grandiose like that. Some people do things like that, which is really nice. But you gave me something that touched my heart, that was about me, and that showed me you loved me. That it was kind of a message to say, I love you, girl. You're my girlfriend, and I've gone through this journey with you for the past year, and I want to show you that I love you. And it touched my heart. And it lit up that point in my heart that's so great. And for you seeing me holding it and yelling about it and my big smile, like, it just made you feel probably that great because you've done something to make me feel happy.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I look forward to it. Whenever I'm able to gift something to someone that I care about, it just brings me so much joy. And I say, if anything, it's funny because I think you said something on there about it doesn't have to be selfish, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'll be selfish all day and night. I don't care. I want to smile. I want to see their joy. I just, you know what I mean? It's
Right,
like,
right.
for me, I just love to give. And you know what? And it's interesting because, so I always consider myself a giver, always have. And there's a business book that I have given as a gift to many people, and it's called The Go Giver by Bob Burg.
Yeah.
And you've seen it. Have you read it?
I haven't. You know what? It's one of those things that's on my list because I had heard so much good about it. It's a feel good book for the Go Giver.
It is.
I love it.
And I think I read that book like 5 times in a weekend because it's such a small read,
Yeah.
a small size book. It's such an easy read. But I loved it. And every single time that I read it, I just felt like I was learning something new. And it's really about, giving to others and how everything just comes, it just like naturally flows. But one of the things that I learned is, one thing is to give to you. But let's say, for example, I gave you the gifts that I gave you with all the love in the world. And let's say that you said, no, 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 I cannot accept this. I cannot accept this. And I think that if that were to happen, then you're taking away my joy. You're like, I'm like, come on, I really want you to have this.
I don't know if I agree with that completely because there's something that's coming from you in terms of wanting to control someone else's feelings, where it's like you're not supposed to feel that way. You're supposed to feel this way. And
No,
I know the feeling happens.
You could hate the gift I give you, but I still want to be able to give it to you.
Yeah, and that happens, when we are with people and you give, it's rare, but it does happen where they're like, I won't accept it. No, 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 because they feel bad. They feel, they don't deserve it, or they feel unworthy. When those moments happen, we just have to hold conversation and let them know how important. I know that's happened with me. I give something like maybe I want to pay for, I had a lunch with a friend that I love so much.
Yeah.
And I'm getting the bill. It's like, no, 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 no. Like they feel so like, I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to be burdened by my needs or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have to stop them and say, I'm not doing this for anything else except I'm gifting this to you because I love you. This is the way I can say I love you. So I have to be clear
Yeah.
on why, not pity. Sometimes it happens that way. But let's think of some ways, if you watch this later on, anyone, viewing it, think of ways, and Dolly, you can tell me now, what are other ways that we can give? Let's say we don't have the funds to go to and get that one thing. How can we give to people
Oh my God.
whether relatives or non-relatives? Like, how do we give?
You could just give through a hug. You could give through a phone call. You could give through a letter. It doesn't have to cost you anything to give, to give of yourself to someone else. It doesn't have to cost you anything. I think, like today, my son's birthday. So I drove 3 hours. I took him to his boyfriend's house, and I drove 3 hours to and from, and I did it because I love him, and he was so grateful. And so it maybe it cost me my time, but I love him, and I will do anything for him. So there's so many ways you can give. You can share a good book. You can. I just think there's so many ways you could just be there for someone. Be there. I have a friend who has really struggled this year. She's really had a hard time. She's lost, too much this year, her loved ones, and it breaks my heart. And you know, she was one of the people I included in my holiday cards. Thinking of you, or just a little message in the middle of the night. Hope you're doing well. You know, um, and that's just the way to let people know that you care.
That's right. It's beautiful. That's you know some of the examples that Dolly is sharing with you. They're showing you just a little snippet of how limitless giving can be, and how they can actually turn into gifts that might not be, packaged in, the gift wrap and a ribbon. I know that when people have lost, we might look back, and I know I do look back on, I've lost family members, my parents. When you look back, you look at the gifts that you actually did have, which is time. When you talk to people who have lost and they have remorse, some have regret. When you talk to the elderly, that nowadays it's very difficult, but in past, there's so many reports that when you sit next to somebody in a hospital, they look back at the time and what was spent and the experiences. So even like if you're someone who knows how to play an instrument, play it. Be with somebody, bring that experience to somebody. If you know that, like she said something about just sending a card. What if you just sent a letter?
Hmm.
Like, dear, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be so beautiful to get a beautiful letter, even if you can't write that well. Okay. If you wrote a letter to someone you care about and you just said, like the old days, I can't believe it's that old. It makes me feel prehistoric. But we
Yeah.
did it. We wrote letters to people, and you get a letter in the mail and you're like, it's to me, a letter, like actual mail. And you open it up and it's like, dear, like me, dear Anita. And it's like, I was just thinking what you wanted. It feels so weird because we're so accustomed to technology. They're like, why can't I just say it right now? Surely you can say what you want through text and email. But what if it was done in a more special way? What if you sent a care package just because? What if you just did things that were simple, where you printed out a picture of the two of you together, frame it, and put a little poem with it? You could just, there's so many things you can do.
Like one of the things that I like to do, like with my husband, I will actually, like, unexpectedly, I'll just go to him and like get in front of him, and I'll just touch his face gently, and I'll just touch his face, and I'll just look at him, eye contact, right? He'll look at me like, oh shoot, what did I do? And I just say, I love you.
And then you go like this.
No, I just say, I love you. I love you.
Yeah.
And that just warms him up, and he just like, you could just see it. He's like, wow, how lucky am I? That's the impression the feeling I get from him. And his kindness towards me. I just think that, You know what? I've said this a million and one times. Life is too short. Even if you live to be 100, life is too short. So why, waste it? Why not take the time to let those that mean anything to you, that you care, just let them know. And I think that you can really truly make an impact in someone's life. You don't know. I mean, even us having this conversation today, Anita, we may be reminding someone that someone needs a hug, or that someone has not heard from you for 6 months. you know Maybe it's time to give them a phone call. So I challenge everyone and anyone that is listening to us today, make that special call to that special someone that you
Yeah,
miss.
if I agree. I think that you might go retro. Maybe nowadays we don't have the cassette tapes, but we have ways of creating a playlist. I don't know if any of you remember these things, if you had a relationship with somebody, or maybe it's your spouse, where you built a playlist. I know I did in the 80s. There was like, you had everything on your cassette tape,
Oh
and
my
all these collections of songs to say I love you, or I want you in my life, or whatever. You can still do that and play it, and it doesn't have to be elaborate if you are looking to keep it. I think sometimes some of the smallest gifts are the most elaborate in my heart,
God.
because I remember, and this is just somebody someone I had a very great relationship with before I met my husband, an ex-boyfriend, if you will. And one of the things I still remember that he did that was just so precious for me, we were in college, and we didn't have any money. We were all eating like ramen noodles, or cup of noodles, whatever. And it was I can't remember. It was just an anniversary, and he didn't have anything, so he just he just got one magazine, and he clipped all the flowers that he could find in that magazine, and he's just he did like construction paper glue. He just put it all on this one thing, and then he framed it, and he just gave it to me. Yeah, do you see that? But it was so precious because he had to take the time. Like, what guy's going to want to sit there in a magazine and cut out like flowers? That's work. So when he did that, and he put that in a little frame, that was our anniversary, and I just loved it. I thought it was so beautiful, and it didn't cost much of anything. And
Yeah,
sometimes it doesn't need to.
yeah, because it's not about money.
No.
It's not about money. It really isn't. It's about showing that you care.
Right, right.
You know what, Anita? You reminded me a lot about the five love languages.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of the five love language. If you don't know what that's all about, you can just look it up on, just Google it, the love languages, and there's a test out there to determine. There are five different ways that we can communicate love to somebody.
Uh-huh.
And if you take the test, there's a short test and there's a long test. You can determine what are the ones that are at the top that really represent who you are and how you say I love you. So go ahead. What were you going to?
Although the five love languages, you have words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, gifts, and touch. And based on what your language is, like for me, I love like my top two are words of affirmation and acts of service. So like like when my husband cleans the kitchen, oh my god, I love him 10 times more. That's
That's so funny because I'm a words of affirmation and touch. I'm very affectionate, and I love affection from appropriate people.
yes.
Um, but my husband is acts of service, so it's a different conversation.
Yeah, so you have to show him love based on his love language. So if you want it touchy, touchy, feely, feely all the time, and he doesn't, he rather you make him a nice dinner, as your act of service, you're showing him the love that way. So
Right, like when he goes to take the garbage out, that's his thing. He takes the garbage out, and he does the dishes along with my daughter, and which is great because I'll make the meal all day long. But when he's done with the dishes, because that was an act of service, I tell him, I love how you wash those dishes, baby. You did such a good job. Can you do it again? Do another one, and he really enjoys the way I talk to him because he's getting something done and accomplished, and he feels the reward for that. And I'm not that person.
yeah,
you
Yeah,
know.
no, for me,
You hug me for like 5 more seconds than normal, I'm the happiest girl in the world. I'm that oxytocin freak.
yeah,
So
no, that's too funny though. But no, mine the other day he cleaned the kitchen, and I was like, oh my god, I love it, I love it. You know me, I'm a clean freak.
send him over and clean my kitchen.
Well, maybe we have to. No, but I tell you, it's like I love it. I love it. And for me, it's just like, oh my, and I told him, I'm like, oh babe, if you want to see me happy all the time, just keep a clean house. Keep a clean house. That makes me happy, and that's how he shows love to me as well. You know,
Right. I think, and I hope that, as we're getting close to the end of the show, when it comes to the power of giving, when you can hold that conversation, when you observe the people that you want to give something to say, I love you, you're really saying that. Even if it's a friend, even if it's an acquaintance, you still have love in your heart. You want to give something to them. Even if it's a holiday card, you're saying, I love you, because there's some impact that you have with one another. There's just different sorts of love. We can talk about that in February. But when it comes down to it, if you're gonna do it, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Just hold a conversation and see where their heart is and serve the heart. And I think that you'll get really far with that.
I love that. I love that. Well, everyone, with that being said, I think that all I can do right now is wish you a beautiful and amazing holiday week, rest of your week. We will be seeing you again next week on Wednesday. I love that hat, Anita. You're just so joyful. Cover your eyes.
I know.
Yeah. But everyone, Merry Christmas, and we will see you next week. Till next time.
Merry Christmas.
I don't know what's happening with